Many professionals assume learning AI requires hours of experimentation and technical knowledge. But in reality, one of the fastest ways to become comfortable with AI at work is a simple habit that takes about 5 minutes a day. Welcome back to the AI Beginner Academy podcast. This show is designed for mid-career professionals working inside structured organizations. People responsible for workflows, teams, and operational outcomes who want to understand AI clearly, without hype, without technical overwhelm, and without putting their credibility at risk. Today's episode is a little different. Last week we talked about the hidden cost of ignoring AI at work. Today I want to focus on something much simpler, because one of the biggest misconceptions about learning AI is that it requires hours of experimentation or deep technical knowledge. In reality, many professionals begin building real confidence with AI through something much smaller. A simple habit that takes about 5 minutes a day. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The 5-minute AI habit every professional should try, and why small daily interaction with AI often matters more than long training sessions.
Listen to questions.
This week's listener question comes from Karen, who works in operations at a mid-sized manufacturing company. Karen writes, "Steve, I keep hearing that I should be learning AI, but my workdays are already packed. I don't really have time to experiment with a bunch of new tools. Is there a simple way to start?" Karen, that's a great question. And honestly, your question is what sparked the idea for today's episode. Because I hear versions of this from professionals all the time. Most people aren't resisting AI. They're just busy. They're managing projects, supporting teams, keeping operations running. And the idea of setting aside hours to learn AI just isn't realistic. But the interesting thing is that building confidence with AI usually doesn't start with big learning sessions. It starts with something much smaller. A simple habit that takes about 5 minutes a day and gradually changes how you approach parts of your work. So today, let's talk about the 5-minute AI habit every professional should try. One of the biggest misconceptions about AI is that you need to study it before you can start using it. But for most professionals, that's not how capability actually develops. It develops through small interactions with AI during the normal flow of work. Not experiments, not side projects, just everyday tasks. For example, you're writing an email to summarize a meeting, or reviewing a document, or preparing talking points for a conversation with your team. These are moments where AI can quietly assist, and where that 5-minute habit begins to take shape. Because instead of doing everything alone, you pause for a moment and ask AI for input. Maybe you ask it to help refine a message, summarize a document, or suggest a clearer way to structure an idea. Those small interactions may only take a few minutes, but they do something important. They build familiarity, and familiarity is what gradually turns uncertainty into confidence. Example 1. Improving something you already wrote. One of the easiest ways to start using AI is simply asking it to help improve something you've already written. Maybe it's an email to a colleague. Maybe it's a message to your team. Maybe it's a short update you're sending to leadership. Instead of rewriting it yourself 3 or 4 times, you can paste the message in an AI and ask something simple like, "Can you help me make this clearer and more concise?" In many cases, the response will give you a cleaner version of what you already wrote. You're still in control of the message. AI is simply helping refine it, and the entire interaction often takes less than a minute. Example 2. Summarizing information. Another common place this habit shows up is when you're dealing with long information. Reports, policies, articles, meeting notes. Instead of reading everything line by line first, you can ask AI to give you a quick summary. For example, summarize the key points of this document in 5 bullet points. This can give you a fast overview before you dive deeper. It doesn't replace careful reading when it matters, but it can save a surprising amount of time when you're trying to understand the main idea quickly. Example 3. Getting a second perspective. The third place professionals often use AI is as a kind of thinking partner, not to replace their judgment, but to get another perspective. For example, you might ask, I'm preparing for a meeting about improving this workflow. What are a few questions I should consider asking? Or, what are 3 ways this process might be improved? Sometimes AI will suggest something obvious. Sometimes it will offer a perspective you hadn't considered. Either way, it helps spark thinking. And that's where AI can become genuinely useful for professionals responsible for solving problems and improving how work gets done. Over time, these small interactions start to add up. You begin to see where AI can help and where it doesn't. And that's when something important begins to happen. Confidence starts to grow, not because you studied AI, but because you started using it in small, practical ways during your normal workday. If this episode resonates and you'd prefer a structured path instead of figuring out alone, I created a free 30-day roadmap designed specifically for professionals who want clarity without hype. It walks you through practical demonstrations, safe use cases, and a calm integration approach. You can begin at aibeginner.net/start. No pressure, just structure.
AI hot tip.
Before we move on, here's this week's AI hot tip. When you're using AI, don't stop with the first response. A simple follow-up question can dramatically improve the results. For example, after AI gives you an answer, try asking something like, "Can you make that shorter? Can you simplify that? Or, can you give me another option?" AI tends to improve its responses when you guide it a little further. So instead of treating AI like a one-question tool, think of it more like a short conversation. That small shift can make a surprisingly big difference in how useful AI becomes during your workday.
Optimistic AI thought of the week.
Here's this week's optimistic AI thought. AI doesn't eliminate professional value. It magnifies judgment. The more routine friction AI handles, the more visible your human skills become. Clarity, decision-making, ethics, leadership. The professionals who thrive in the AI era won't be the most technical. They'll be the most responsible integrators. And that's entirely within your control. Thank you for listening to the AI Beginner Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, consider leaving a review on your podcast platform. It helps more professionals find calm, practical guidance around AI. If you have a question you'd like answered on a future episode, you can reach out through aibeginner.net. And if you're ready for a structured way to begin integrating AI responsibly, start with the free roadmap at aibeginner.net/start. Until next time, stay steady, stay curious, and keep building capability.